Hello and welcome to That Atheist Show. I'm Preston, that atheist dude.
And I am Connie, that atheist lady.
Tonight we have something interesting to talk about. If you haven't lived under a rock for the past week or so, and if you've been paying attention to any science magazines or any science articles at all, you've probably heard about the gravitational wave discovery that we've had in just a week ago when we were taking our break. It's pretty amazing stuff because it all stems back 100 years ago when Einstein created the general theory of relativity. Before we go into much more science talk, we aren't scientists, so we want to explain the premise of what we're talking about. So first, let's talk about the general theory of relativity with a video that we have set up for you. 1 second.
Albert Einstein, the icon of genius. Why? Because he figured out E equals mc squared? Because he didn't like socks? Nope, because he came up with the most powerful idea in science, general relativity. His masterpiece is now 100 years old, and while the physicists are partying, the rest of us are left wondering what the f*** it's all about. Well, here goes. At 26, he figured out nothing less than a new theory of space and time. It led to a nifty way of simplifying physics by treating space and time as one thing, space-time. But Albert was just warming up. He wasn't happy with Isaac Newton's mysterious force of gravity. Naturally, he started work on his own theory. And sure enough, he cracked it. Mass causes space-time to curve. The natural motion of things is to follow the simplest path through space-time. But since objects with mass curve space-time, stuff moves towards the most massive object. That's what you feel as gravity. It's warped space and time that's keeping your feet on the ground. Warped space. Might sound too sci-fi to be true. We can measure the bending of starlight as it passes through the warped space around the sun. Warped time sounds even more ridiculous. But take an accurate clock to the top of a building and you'll see it runs slightly quicker than one on the ground. That's because as you move away from the centre of the planet, space and time are less warped. Most amazing of all, Einstein's theory told us that our universe has a beginning. Everything is expanding out from a hot, dense origin 13.8 billion years ago. But here's the catch. We've spotted that the universe is expanding faster than Albert's theory predicts. Could the old genius be wrong? To stick with his idea, we've had to invent a made-up energy, dark energy, to account for the speedy expansion. And we've had to assume there's an exotic form of dark matter we haven't detected yet either. These two unknowns should make up 95% of the universe, yet we've never detected them. That's the sort of thing that keeps physicists awake at night. So they're plotting some seriously big experiments to put Albert's theory to the ultimate test. For the last 100 years, Uncle Albert's great theory has passed every test possible. If it succeeds again, physicists will party. If they find its limits and it finally fails, they'll party too. Physicists are funny like that.
Preston, we can't hear you.
Oh, I've been on mute for like that whole minute there. It's so
It took
terrible
it took me a minute to figure out, like,
that the video was over.
yeah, I was like, and I'm pretty damn sure that the video should be over by now,
Oh, it's
so.
terrible. Well, to start over, uh, at the end of the video, it said that the physicist would dance if the next theory from his theory of general relativity was to be proven true. We know
Mhm.
now that they have been dancing for about a week since the
Yeah.
gravitational waves have been confirmed. Uh, this further proves that Einstein is in fact, or was in fact, a genius. He was able, with math, to determine that gravitational waves exist, and now with the technology that's improved and advanced over 100 years, we were able to confirm the theory that he put together with math. Like, that is just ridiculous. So when we're looking back at the theory of general relativity and all the things that it has done for us, one of the major things that most of us use is the GPS system and satellites. The fact that satellites are able to orbit around our planet, and using the certain calculations, they can pinpoint where you are, and even though they're moving a few thousand miles per hour over our orbit, they're able to pinpoint where we are using this mathematical formula. It's amazing what that was able to do. So now, with the newest discovery of gravitational waves, we've only just discovered that these things are detectable. So what is next is the biggest question. Science is constantly pursuing new things, constantly figuring out how to use its discoveries practically, and with this, who knows what's next? We don't know because we're not scientists. We would love to
Uh,
know.
all kinds of craziness. Yeah.
We have no idea.
We we have no idea. But also, what I like about the end of that video is they also say that if it's proved wrong, they will also
They
dance
will also dance.
because it's just like finding out stuff. You
Yeah,
get
because then they would
excited.
have another reason to look further.
Yeah, to keep looking and to look another direction. Whereas, a lot of people like to say that scientists are all about, proving what they think should be right, when that's obviously not the case, because they get excited when they discover something's real, then they get excited when they discover something isn't,
Yeah, when they
just
discover they
because
were
it's
wrong,
exciting to learn things. Yeah, when they discover that something's wrong, they get
still
excited
excited.
because they're learning stuff. It's like, oh yeah, new things.
Like, oh, we're wrong about this. That means that we have to figure out what we can be right about next.
Yeah, like, where did we fuck up? Let's go find out.
Exactly. So now we want to talk about gravitational waves. We have one of the most known scientists, most respected scientists to explain that to us. We don't have him with us on the show, of course, but we have an interview that he did on the day of the discovery of gravitational waves. So tune in here.
Gravitational waves detected in scientific milestone. What is this? What has led up to this, and how was it finally discovered?
This was just announced hours ago.
Yeah.
So you don't miss anything here. Look at you.
No, I saw that it popped up as an alert on my phone.
Yeah,
I was
as
like,
it should.
oh, okay. This
That's
is
100 years in the making here. Einstein, 100 years ago, 98 years ago, I think it was, gave a recipe for a prediction of how you might be able to detect the kind of gravity that he described in his famous 1916 paper. To him, gravity was not a force of attraction between objects, as Newton would have you think of it. Gravity is the distortion in the fabric of space and time. And if I have a massive object, I'm distorting it deeply, and some other object comes in the vicinity, it kind of falls into that distortion.
right.
So you're really just staying with the flow. And I think it was one of Einstein's disciples who came up with the phrase, mass tells space how to curve. I got to say this right. No, it's very pithy. Excuse me.
Don't worry, you got me.
No, matter
I'm here.
tells space how to curve. Space tells matter how to move.
Oh, okay.
There you go. And so now, if you have a disturbance in this fabric of space and time, it will emanate forth as a ripple moving at the speed of light. And that ripple that was discovered and announced today has been traveling through the fabric of space and time for 1.3 billion years. And it is the record of the collapse of a double black hole system coalescing into one black hole. And that is a major disturbance in the fabric of
So
space.
in order for that to be detected, it would have had to have been this giant, like obviously anything probably throws off gravitational waves.
Yes,
but
anything.
then to make it
Correct.
to reach here,
It's got to be big enough and bright,
right.
bright enough, if I can use
Like
that
a
word.
tsunami of gravity.
Correct. And so badass black holes coalescing is what did it. And in fact, in the last instant before these black holes coalesce, it is radiating so much energy. It is more energy than all the stars of the universe combined. But it only does it for a quick fraction of a second.
It's enough
before they coalesce. But it's enough to give
it.
that little jiggle, wait 1.3 years, and it came across the detectors, changing the length between two mirrors that are suspended on very thin wires in multiple observing locations in the world. And by the way, you know how much the length changed as the ripple went across? A fraction the diameter of an atomic nucleus. It is the most precise measurement ever made by far.
That's detectable
Anything. Yes.
with a mechanical
Yes.
setup.
Yes. And in fact, the insulation of this, I visited.
I would leave. I guess I don't leave them out like wind chimes.
That's what I'm saying. So I visited one of these facilities just a month ago in Louisiana. There's one there. There's one in Hanford, Washington State, and they're building others around the world so that you don't want to detect it only in one. You want to make sure multiple ones detect it. There's no funny business, or you can have confidence if you have the exact signal in more than one detector that it's real. All right. So I'm there, and you drive up to the facility. It says, beam on, drive slowly, or something. Any vibration will affect this thing. Vibrations on a level that is so sensitive. It can detect the quantum vibrations of molecules in the wire that's holding the mirror.
God,
Oh my
how is that accounted for?
Well, so now they got to account. I mean, it's a very.
What about seismic stuff that's unpredictable?
Well, so it's one of the world's greatest seismic detectors.
I bet.
So no, there are ways to insulate it from whatever's going on around. So it's a masterpiece of engineering.
Amazing.
Yeah, and it'll Nobel prizes all around for everybody. Yeah.
I gather. So what does this mean? We always hear how important these discoveries are. What will this teach us?
Well, it is. It is. I don't know that there's anything left that Einstein predicted that we can still end up finding out is true. Everything has been correct. And in fact, let me tell you how smart Einstein was. In one of his equations, he put in a term that he later regretted putting in, and he called it his greatest blunder. This is a term that he looked at his equations, and his equations showed that the universe had to be either expanding or collapsing.
Right.
Now, no one had any idea that the universe, which is everything, would be doing anything.
Yeah, it's just there.
It's just there,
Right.
right? So he says, this can't be right. Let me put in this term. It's a legitimate mathematical term, but physically, what the hell are you doing, Albert? And he says, this term will help stabilize it from collapse. Okay, and it's a pressure force to push outward, and that'll stabilize it. Later on, just a couple of years later, Hubble, the man after whom the telescope was named,
Telescope the man.
discovered that in fact the universe was expanding, and he didn't need the term because he could have predicted that the universe should either be expanding or contracting, but he didn't. He put in this term. He said it's his biggest blunder. Now, you know what Einstein's actual biggest blunder is? Saying that was his biggest blunder.
Yeah.
Because in fact, in 1998, we discovered a pressure in the universe pressing against gravity that is exactly the term that he put in.
It wound up being what he said.
His
not
biggest
a blunder.
Make sure I have audio back here. So Einstein
Yes.
was such a genius that even when he thought he was wrong, he was actually right.
Even whenever he screwed up, his screw up ended up being right. Yeah.
So there is literally nothing left that he predicted that we haven't proven to be true. He went through thought experiments in his brain, figured out the general theory of relativity, wrote it out on a piece of paper using mathematical formulas. They came to be true, and now we have satellites, now we have freaking all kinds of things that are just helping us move with modern technology that are helping us accelerate at such a huge pace compared to 100 years ago. It's
Mhm.
ridiculous.
Yeah, and now I wonder what that's going to mean for all of the math classes and science
Right.
classes that
Because
are
everything
so
needs to be
heavily.
updated.
Yeah, it all needs to be updated because I'm taking a science course right now and I just got to learn all about, Newton's theory of how the gravity works. And now it's like basically it's like, yeah, Newton, you were fucking wrong.
Hmm.
And
Like
Einstein was
entirely.
right. So,
For so long, we thought he was right, and that that was the only theory of gravity that we needed. And then through
uh-huh.
Einstein, we found out that there's a whole other realm of physics. Quantum mechanics even came out of that, and that's a whole new realm of physics that we've still. I mean, we've used quantum mechanics to make not laser, microchips and things like that. But
Hmm.
with gravitational waves, the thing that's really amazing about it is that there's no electromagnetic force behind it. It's a different style of physics entirely. So the fact that they're able to detect it, the machine that they use to detect it is called LIGO, and it's basically two tubes going in an L shape for 4 kilometers, and within these tubes, it's a vacuum sealed tube. Removes all dust, removes all microparticles, so that nothing is interfering. And they have a laser shooting out and bouncing along these mirrors, going to like a mirror at the very end of the 4 kilometers. Now, when these gravitational waves are coming through, they interfere with that laser just a little bit, and they vacuum sealed it to make sure nothing else was interfering with it. And they also used countermeasures or seismic activity, like he talked about in the video, so that they're making sure that throughout this entire 4 kilometer tube, nothing is affecting the laser, nothing is getting in the way of it. So that when they
Hmm.
see a small change, and the change, like Neil deGrasse said, is like a fraction of a freaking atom, a nuclear atom or something like that.
Yeah, of
That
a
it,
nucleus, so not even like an atom, like the little.
the nucleus
Yeah.
inside of an atom, which is even tinier. That's like when you get to the
Yeah.
quantum level. So they're able to detect that using all of this technology. And the craziest thing is, LIGO has existed since the 90s. And even before that, in 1889, it was created by a man that was trying to disprove some kind of ether, luminiferous ether, something like that. But it ends up being almost 150 years later, it's being used to detect gravitational waves. And it's
Hmm.
been advanced to the point where, I mean, we detected two black holes colliding and becoming one and creating such force that we feel the waves from this far away. Like,
Yeah.
it's fucking insane.
1.3 billion light years away. Yeah.
It's amazing. It's science has created some amazing things, and I wonder what's next. Like,
All sorts of crazy stuff. But there's
seriously.
there's no telling. But we're definitely gonna have to keep an eye on that. I want to kind of ask like, hey, is my test gonna change now? Because I'm
Within a
in the
week, we
middle
just
of.
found all this new physics. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, I'm like learning this stuff and no, it's
Well,
wrong. What do I do?
one important thing still to point out though is, like he said toward the end, they have to create more detectors in more areas of the Earth so that they could find out and confirm and just get more than one signal. Right now, they only detected one signal.
Two.
They
They
are
detected it in two
right.
places.
They detected in two places, but they still want more. They still want more
Yeah.
confirmation. They want more data. They're
Yeah,
gathering
one off
something
is
like
never good enough for scientists.
they're gathering like so many terabytes of data each day. It's ridiculous. All based
Hmm.
on this one device. So we will definitely keep an eye on that and try to find more answers because, obviously we had to have the scientists explain it for us.
Yeah. And now that we're talking about, the importance of science and things, what's going to really affect, science being taught in, especially American schools and the United States, uh, participation in science within the world is who our next president is. And next Tuesday is Super Tuesday. 26 states will either have a primary or caucus. So make if you're like you need to check and see if you're one of them because there's a lot of people that are like, "Oh yeah, I'm voting for Bernie Sanders," and then they don't even realize that their primary is coming up.
And the
So we
primary is the
want
most
to,
important
yeah,
part because we want to get him nominated
yes,
so that he is up against whoever is GOP.
yeah, exactly. He can't run for president until he beats Hillary out in the
Nomination. Yeah, the
primaries.
primary.
So he has to get the nomination. So go check and see when your primary is, or if it's a caucus. If it's a caucus, figure out what nonsense you need to do because it varies from state to state. I don't even know how all those work. I don't live in a caucus state where I would figure it out. But if you do, figure it out. Go do your best to go. I know that I've seen a lot of people saying things like, "Oh, well, call in sick and your boss has to let you
Or get an
off."
absentee ballot.
Or get an app. Yes, you
An
can get an
early vote.
absentee ballot.
Early vote or absentee
Vote
ballot.
early. Vote early. That is an option if you can actually get off on the day because, like, I live in a right to work state or an at will state, and no, you cannot just tell
Can't
your
just call
boss, "It's
off.
my constitutional right to go and vote." No, that doesn't
Well, it's
work
my
here.
constitutional right to fire your ass. It's like, well, fuck.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Which they can't fire you because you went to vote, but they could fire you for no damn reason at all.
They can
Like
fire
that's
you because they
actually
don't
in
like your
there.
sneakers.
They could fire you because you farted one time. They don't
Yeah.
care. Like they could fire you for any reason or no reason at all in at will states. So
Exactly.
make sure you have your ducks in a row because it is important. We do understand that, yes, a lot of people will not be able to actually go and vote on the actual day of the primary because you live in one of these backward ass states, which is even more important why you need to be on the side of Bernie Sanders and get the damn vote in there for him because he's not going to let this bullshit go on any longer. Like, that's ridiculous. You don't have any rights it's a right to work, but that's not at all what it is. It's not what it is.
It's a right to be fired for any reason at
It's a
all.
right, yeah. It's a right to fire your ass. That's what it is. And so now we also want to talk about because I know there's a lot of you guys that haven't really, cared a whole lot about politics and things before,
I'm
and
one of
now
them.
yeah, Preston's one of them. He didn't know. I don't think he knew that the primary was coming up
I didn't
next
know there was a
week.
Super Tuesday. I don't know what the hell that was. I thought that was like the
He didn't know
day
what
that
Super
like
Tuesday was.
multiple superhero movies came out or something. I was like, whoa, cool.
He didn't know. So I'm making sure that you guys know this because it is so important that primaries are happening. Some primaries have already happened. 26 of them will happen this coming Tuesday. Figure out when your primary is. And also there is the graphic that we shared with the show today. If Preston can put that up so that you guys can see it, I'm going to talk about that some.
Pull it up. Hold on.
Yeah, electioneering. Okay, every single state has rules about this. You cannot bust up into the polling station wearing your field burn t-shirt or a button or a hat, or you can't do anything like that. So especially if you live in like a Republican dominated area, don't try to do this because I know that where I live, the little old ladies that volunteer at the polling station, they most likely will not enforce this rule if somebody in like a Trump or a Cruz shirt walks in there. But I bet your ass if you walk in there with a Bernie Sanders shirt, you
They'll kick
will
your
have the
ass out.
police called on you. You'll have the police called on you, and in the penalty for electioneering varies from state to state. It's anywhere from, hey, you got to leave to, actual criminal charges. So don't even risk it. So what
Unless
electioneering?
caucuses, though, you're able to speak on the behalf of your candidate.
Yes,
That's
that's
different than
caucus.
a
That's
voting
different.
primary. Voting primary, going in there to vote. The caucus is
Yeah,
when
and
you're
this
going
is
in there to
for
root for your
uh-huh
candidate.
for polling. This electioneering rule is for any time that you're actually voting and putting in a ballot. Anytime that you have to actually go to a polling place. And what this actually means is the visible display or audible dissemination of information that advocates for or against any candidate or measure on the ballot within a distance, it varies from state to state, from the polling place. And this includes, but is not limited to, the display of a candidate's name, likeness, or logo, a display of a ballot measures number, title, subject, or logo, buttons, hats, pencils, pins, shirts, signs, or stickers containing electioneering information. That means that if you have a Bernie 2016
Thing.
button on your shirt, that can get you kicked out, and that means that you will not be able to vote. Or if you have already voted, they can actually throw your ballot out and have it not count. And then disseminate, and then actually audible electioneering information. This means just talking about who you are going to vote for, asking people who they are going to vote for, general conversation about the candidates while you are in line waiting to vote or on your way out. So keep your mouth shut. Don't wear neutral plain clothing in, like, don't wear anything that displays like it says anti. You can't be anything against either, so you can't wear like an anti-Trump shirt or an anti-Cruz shirt or
Unfortunately.
anything. You can't do anything like that. You have to just dress in normal clothing with no politics related stuff on your person. Don't talk about it. Walk in, stand in line, be quiet, fill in your bubble, put it in the machine or the box or however your state does it, and
Go on
then
your way.
walk out and then go on your way. And then once you're gone, talk about all you want.
And
But
if
do
you
not
want,
do it until do not take a selfie at the polling
yeah,
station.
seriously,
Do not take a selfie in your car in front of the polling station if you're in one of those states that has like some ridiculous one, like
like 100
300
feet,
feet,
yeah.
or like they're like one of them I saw was 300 feet. Like chances are you're going to park your car within 300 feet. We don't know how desperate certain campaigns are going to get with things. They could seriously call for your vote to not count
Yeah, so keep your
because
phones away.
you broke a rule. Yeah, keep your phone in your purse, in your pocket, leave it in your car. Just don't do it because really, especially because we've seen how dirty Hillary's been playing this go round.
And not even her,
She's
like her campaign alone is dirty,
Yeah,
so
her
it's just like
campaign,
it's a
because
reflection.
most of the Democratic volunteers are on Hillary's side.
The ones that
So
are
if
running
you're
these things, not
the
not
ones
like
running these things,
yeah.
so do not, just don't do it, because there's some states where the Democratic polling station is separate from the Republican, or like the Democratic primary is on a different day than the Republican. For myself, I'm actually going to walk in, and there's going to be two little old ladies sitting there, and I'm going to have to say out loud that I need the Democratic ticket. And who knows what that's gonna, like, just me saying that in my area could get them to find any reason that they can
Like,
to,
hold on one second.
yeah, because I'm in a very Republican dominated area. So don't do anything that could set off any
Don't
of
do anything
these
that'll get you kicked out.
people's, yeah, don't do anything that could make them somehow pin one of these rule breakings on you. Just don't do it. And because we need all of those votes. And like I said,
Yeah,
definitely
and don't give up once you're there.
because most of like the career politicians, or like the people that have been volunteering for years, they are very much whatever candidate the higher ups in their party want to be voted in or whatever. And for some reason, Hillary has most of those people. So I know that people are, those sort of people are really rooting for her. She has all of the establishment people on her side, and so don't talk about it. Don't say feel the burn when you're walking out the door. Don't do any of that. Okay, just don't do it.
Now, if you want to check your specific state's limits and go out to that limit and start campaigning on behalf of your candidate and people on the way in, I think that'll be legal.
Yeah, you can
Go
do that,
400 feet
but
away and just start cheering and,
yeah,
and taunting.
you can be like so far down the road or whatever, but don't do it at the polling station. And just be very careful. Don't
And don't
just
give
don't
up,
screw it
because
up.
I've heard a lot of reports of like the Hillary Clinton people basically holding it up so long that the Bernie Sanders people get just discouraged, or they get tired and they get just
Yeah, if
annoyed
you
and they
have a
walk away.
caucus,
Yeah, like the
yeah, definitely if
caucus.
you have a caucus, do not leave, because that's what happened in Iowa. is that they kept calling for recounts and kept calling for recounts, and Bernie was winning, 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 so
And then
obviously
people
winning.
left, and then he
But
lost.
people got tired of hanging out. Hang out. Don't let them win. They are. Don't let them win. Just stick around. Take a nap. Lay in your box. Lay
Just
in
keep your
Bernie's
hand up
box and
as
take a
you're
nap.
sleeping, and just be like,
Just
Bernie.
just prop yourself up.
Get a
do all
stint.
of the,
Just hold it.
do all of the things that you ever did in like high school class, like any
You're
of those
sitting at the
boring
desk
classes
acting like you're
with
sleeping.
yeah. Just
Or acting
pretend to
like
be
you're awake.
awake. Just stay the whole time. We are younger than most of the Hillary supporters.
They will fall asleep before
We
us.
we are used to all-nighters. I know you were young enough to pull an all-nighter. Do it. Don't let the old people
They'll fall asleep.
run you off. Don't get tired of standing around because that is seriously their strategy. They want to stick around longer, and they know
Want to
that
discourage.
us younger people just don't have any damn patience. We don't. I mean, we all know this. If our phone takes 5 seconds to load up Facebook comments, we're like, ah! So, but
Break
no,
it.
don't do it. Wait, stand around, be there 5, 6, 7 hours if you have to. Definitely, we understand if you can't do that because, again, employment. But
This
if
is
you
important,
can,
though.
do it. It's very important.
Political
Don't
revolution.
leave. Don't leave because your show is coming on or something ridiculous like that. Don't do that.
Yeah,
Please, like,
seriously.
it's very important. So, but we just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that this was happening.
I don't even know if we'll
And
be able to film
it
on the
first,
days that we vote, because mine is on the 19th. I don't know if we'll be able to have the show that night if I'm voting, depending on what time I go in, I guess.
what,
But,
yours is a caucus?
No, it's a primary.
Oh,
Primary
well,
vote.
what do you mean?
Well, you
You
just
just
go
go
in
all
and then
day.
go out, right?
Yeah.
See, I've never voted before, people.
Yeah, Preston has never voted before. I've been having to walk him through every little thing.
Yeah, and also you can go to voteforbernie.org, and it'll give you all the information of your local primary, the locations, the times, how to register, if it is too late to register, all that information. All of it's there at voteforbernie.org. We know that not all of our fans are voting for Bernie Sanders, but damn it! Vote for
Even if
Bernie
you're
Sanders.
not voting for Bernie Sanders, it is still important to vote. So show up and vote.
Yeah, and do more research.
Or don't. Stay home if you're voting for Hillary. Don't.
If you're voting for Trump, or Hillary, just stay home.
No, you know what? If you're voting for Trump, go out and do it because we know Bernie can kick his ass.
Pretty much. All right. Well, I think we'll wrap up the show right there. Thank you all for
Alrighty,
watching.
and we will see you guys next week. And we are actually going to show the results of the primary as they come in on next week's show. So that'll be fun.
Hopefully I'll be
Come
able to
and
do like a little
see the
infographic.
results with us.
Definitely. So we will see you next week. Keep an eye on Gravitational Waves. Send us any information that you find on your own. Maybe we'll talk about it on the show. Our emails are actually below us now. The Preston at thatatheistshow.com, and then Koni at thatatheistshow.com. You can email us with any suggestions, anything at all. We're open to all of it. And then visit our Facebook, our Twitter, our website for our blogs. We hope you enjoy all that we do for you.
Yep, and we will see you next week.
Have a good
Bye.
night.